How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to Battlegrounds Game Center. I am Patrick, and today we're looking at a really cool new game, Malediction. Now this is from Loot Studios, and if you're familiar with Loot Studios, they do a lot of 3D printing. They make models for like D&D, and they have packs that you can buy that you can use as proxies for other things. And they're just really coolly designed models. But they made their own game, Malediction, which uses their 3D printed models. Now this is a skirmish style game where you'll have different factions that you can choose from. As of right now, there's 4. But one of the unique things about this is it's more like a card game too. But if you played games like Magic the Gathering or even Underworlds from Games Workshop, it's a skirmish game with a card game base, which is really cool. I've played it a few times and I really enjoy it. So I'm excited to kind of show off what you get in one of these boxes. And then I also have some of the models already printed so I can show you what those look like too. So this is the Primal Blood box. There are 4 of them available. I have this one, and then Legion of the Fallen, which is like an undead faction. I have the models printed up for that, so that's what I will show you towards the end of this video. But we're gonna go ahead and open up one of these boxes to show you what you get and how you play the game. So in the box here, you're gonna get your measuring tool that you can use. So this is a game that uses, inch movement and stuff like that. So if you're into skirmish games, it's a good gateway skirmish game actually, especially if you play card games. Then we got our token sheets here. So this is one of the pieces of terrain that you can use. It's actually double-sided, so you can actually see what part of the terrain is actually obscurable. We can't move over and stuff like that. You got some health tokens. There's these little corner pieces. So if you don't have a mat, you can actually put these corner pieces out so that you can have a battlefield ready to go. The game does use 2x2 up to 3x3 game sizes. So a very small board, but the game works really quick with the card play and the movement and such. And then you have more terrain pieces that you'll get, and then you have some tokens. Now the game does come with standees, so if you don't have access to 3D printing or you don't want to 3D print, you can just play the game with standees. I'll show you the bases that they come with, which are really cool. So there's a way to play this right out of the box before you even get everything printed, which is really nice. And there's multiple pieces of terrain that you'll get. And then of course we have some more standees. We got a round tracker, echo tracker. This is like your resources that you use, some more terrain pieces. And then there's these husks here. These husks are a big part of the game where they'll come out into the board and you're kind of trying to get all these husks to win the game. So they give you points when you get them. But as you get them, you also get upgrades for your creatures and stuff. So that's kind of the flow of it. But yeah, this is one of the token sheets. So that's both of those. And then we have a little thank you. We have the rule book, which read the rules. Pretty easy to get into. It explains pretty much everything you need to know. You can kind of see how the setup might look, where the initial setup having 4 pieces of terrain. But I think you usually use about 8 pieces of terrain for the bigger games. And it's a very crowded board, but that's what kind of makes it cool because the terrain really blocks line of sight. Any piece that's above like an inch will block line of sight if you cross through it. And so on. And then there's a lot of cool card play mechanics, which I will show you the cards here in a moment. These are the bases you get, so this is what you can put the standees in. And one thing I like about it is they give you extras, just in case. So you can mix and match some of these sets. They'll have different affiliations that you can mix and match. But these little bases here have a nice little slot where you can put a standee in, and actually I will go ahead and just punch one out and show you. So if you do want to use the standees, they are nice and thick. You'll have like little numbers here to denote, because you'll have usually up to 3, depending on the rarity of what it is. And then you just slide it in and you can see the number. And boom, there you go. You got a guy on a base, because since the base is very important for when you're measuring line of sight and stuff. And there's different sizes for the different creatures. So like that's a 40 mil, I believe this is a 60 mil. And you got, I think like a 28 maybe, or 32. So it is a little bit bigger scale, especially when we show off the printed models. So yeah, that is all the tokens and then the sheets and stuff. But a big part of the game is the cards. So again, if you've played Magic the Gathering, it actually has a commander feel to it, because you're going to get a Seeker card, which will have at all times access to, which kind of stays in its own little zone, and even if it dies, you can bring it back. And it'll have like its own like little legacy ability card, which dictates how much echo you start with, which is a resource that you use to play cards from your hand. All of your terrain has its own special rules. So instead of having like universal rules for every piece of terrain, depending on what set you bring, because you can mix and match them between the sets, you'll have your own rules for them, which is really cool. I like that. So if you're playing the Dead faction, you could bring the Primal Bloods terrain and so on. But they'll have stats here, so you'll have like added to their attack rolls, how much damage they'll do, if they have range, their movement, their defense, and so on, health. It is a D20 system, so you only have one D20, and what you'll do is you'll roll it, you'll add your attack value, and if it beats the shield of your opponent, you'll do a normal hit. If it's equal or lower, you'll do a grazing hit. So you're always doing damage no matter what. It's just a matter of how much damage you'll end up doing. And then there's, of course, if you roll a 20, it's critical, so you'll add both the regular damage and the grazing damage together. And if you roll a 1, it only does 1 damage. So you still do a damage, even when you roll a critical failure, which keeps the game moving on, and there's no like stalemates of like, oh, I didn't do damage, oh, you didn't do damage, and we just sit here. It really makes the game flow faster. But then you'll have other cards like units, so this is how you'll play your models onto the field. They'll get played into a reinforcement zone, or they get to be played around other units if they're not engaged in combat. And you get quite a few here. You have your cost at the top left here, which is their echo cost, their affiliation, and some of them are dual affiliations. They all have special abilities. All the special abilities are written on the cards. Very simple. You'll have unique cards where you can only have 1 of each copy. These are the basic, where you can have 3. Elites, you can have up to 2, and that's how you'll be able to deck build, because you can change out your cards. It's a 30 to 50 card deck. This is a starter deck that you get right away, but then there is extra cards. So if you want to make another deck or augment the starter deck or make, however you want to do it, there's actually 2 Seekers per box, so you have a few different play styles. And then there is a deck of relics here. Now this is cool because those husks that you have out, they'll have relics that are revealed in like a little pool, and whenever you pick up a relic, you'll get to pick, or whenever you pick up a husk, you'll get to pick one of these relics to add to the creature that picked it up. And then they stay with that creature until it dies, and then they drop a husk, and so on. So there's like a flux of mastery, which is the points to win. Like when you pick up a husk, you get 10. When you get killed, it gets dropped and you lose 10, and so on. And then you also get mastery from just killing other units. And once you reach the threshold of a normal game, which is 40, you immediately win the game. So yeah, that is the cards. The card play is pretty simple. You'll draw 7. You'll play cards during a deployment phase. There'll be cards where you can play once per activation, like a sorcery, and then there's cards where you can play anytime, like an instant. And it's a really cool flow. There's actually more card play than I would have thought with this. Because you have to play your units out and from the cards, and then there's a lot of interactions with the cards. So it's a lot of fun if you're a card player, and it's a good introductory to skirmish games. My friend who does not play skirmish games really liked this because he loves Magic and loves other card games, and he tried it out with me, and he really enjoyed it. So if you're looking to get your friends into other things, this might be a good product for you. Now, that's everything that comes in one of the starters. However, I do have models printed because you do get codes when you open these up with your decks. And then you can start printing the models if you want, if you have access to it. And of course, if you don't, you can just use the standees as well. So let me go ahead and start showing you some of the models and the terrain especially. Okay, so here I have some of the terrain pieces and some of the models that the Legion of the Fallen come with. So every faction has their own terrain that you can get. This is one of the large pieces of terrain. So it's massive. It covers up the field, like, again, it's a 2x2 small board, so you'll get so many pieces that'll fill the board between you and your opponent, and you'll be able to move onto them through the flat parts, but you can't move through any of the bigger parts. Those would be obscuring or an obstacle. But yeah, you get one big piece of one large piece, you get one medium, and then you get 3 of the smaller pieces. And they're all unique, and they all have their own rules, and it's really cool. And then the models themselves, you'll have your Seekers here. So here's one of the Seekers for the Legion of the Fallen. Very nicely detailed. Prints out pretty nice. Loot Studios has some amazing models and how they print and how they look. on how you mess with them. So yeah. And then you do get some big creatures, of course. So this is like a big hulking zombie type thing. For the Legion, you get 2 of these, and there's 2 different sculpts. Some of the smaller ones, like these are some ghosts that you can get with this faction. And then, of course, you have your typical zombie. And then you have your husk that you can get printed. So these are basically objective markers that you need to grab in order to get those relics. And there's 4 unique sculpts and such. So there's a lot of content in these boxes for as cheap as they are. And you know, you get 2 boxes, you and your friend can play a game easily. So yeah, I wanted to show this off because we will be doing some videos for this, I believe, at some point once I get everything painted up. I have the rest of my other faction being printed right now. And then my one friend has the other 2, so we'll be able to mix and match going forward. But I was very excited about this, and I kind of just wanted to show it off. It's brand new. Not too many people are talking about it yet, so I'd like to see some more conversation on it. And if you've played it or not, or if you are looking to get it, let me know. But if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more like it, please go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate it. But until next time, I'm Patrick at Battlegrounds Game Center. See you later.